very good evening and welcome along to Try Time with me, Elijah Oko, your one-stop shop for Kenyan rugby. And tonight we'll be discussing the Africa Under-20, the Bathurst Cup, together with the Kenya Cup and the Hong Kong 7 Series, where the Shujaa and the Lionesses will be participating over the weekend, but the Lionesses will be participating starting from tomorrow, and their first game will be Uganda. We'll be discussing all that and plenty more with Lavin Asego and Benjamin Aimbab. Gentlemen, welcome to the show, or should it be the other way around?
Yeah, we should be welcoming you. We should be welcoming you.
Yeah, it's been a while. I remember the first show of the year, I was the one who
Sisi hapa ni wenyeji.
Sisi
ni wenyeji.
Sawa, nimeshukuru sana.
Niko na title deed ya hii mali yangu. Benja kona title deed yake. Wewe ndio squatter.
So mmeallocate hapa tu.
Yeah, for now, temporarily.
Sawa. Taichunga vizuri sana before Carol akuje. All right, well, remember the big question for tonight is 3 teams are qualified for the playoffs. That is Kabras, KCB, and Kenya Harlequins. The other 3 slots have yet to be confirmed, and so this weekend the teams will be playing it out for the other 3 slots. So the big question is, who do you think will qualify for the playoffs? Well, you can have your say on Twitter and Facebook and also in Instagram using the hashtag Try Time, and there at the bottom of your screen are our social media handles. Well, let's jump into the first topic of today, and it's the Africa Under-20 Bathurst Cup, which is taking place tomorrow, and Kenya will be playing, it should be Tunisia in the first game. And Coach Paul Odera is quite upbeat that Kenya will perform well, considering last time we lost to Namibia in the final, 37-18.
Yes, Tunisia will not be our biggest problem. I understand they have very big boys, and that may just besides. Coach Paul is rightfully confident because his players have been playing in some of them in the top league in the Kenya Cup, and most of them are the strongholds in the ESS sides. So I think he should be as confident as he is.
All right.
One thing I like about Coach Paul Odera and assisted by Ong is there are coaches who are in touch with the youth system, the youth setup, because they've interacted with these young players at school level, and also some of them, he's been watching them in the club level. And so he's not stranger to the system, and he's not stranger to these young players. Now, it's a perfect opportunity for us just to give those young boys a good run against quality opposition. Like Ben just said, I think Tunisia, despite them having big boys, if we're able to maintain our speed and use our quick backs and also be mobile in the forwards, that should not be an issue. I think for us, the team that will give us problems for obvious reasons is Namibia. Yes. Because looking at them, they're, I think, a better funded and team with better resources that they're able to sustain a youth system throughout. If you notice, before the Bathurst Cup, I'm sure many did not know that we have an under-20 side.
Yes.
And you see, normally what happens is, when a tournament is coming up, we construct a team. After the tournament, we disband it because of resources. But I think it's a good opportunity, and I'm really hopeful that people can actually come out and support the boys starting tomorrow at Ruaraka.
Well, the team has been in camp since 20th of January. Do you think that's adequate time for them to perform well in this tournament?
Whomever is leading in terms of having beaten us before, Namibia have been together ever since we played the last time. So of course, because of resources, we can't maintain being in camp for as long as we ought to, but that should be adequate in Kenyan terms to do the business. Though it is inadequate to compete at the top level, but I think the 2 coaches understand the environment within which they operate, and they understand the players. So we should be expecting some good results. So for us, it's maybe going forward to look for that resource that we keep, that elusive resource that we keep talking about, because this lot of players should be able to be kept for at least 8 years for another 2 World Cups to be able to qualify.
And you know, I remember a time after the Simbas did not make it for the World Cup, there was the big question about what next. And I think this is the answer, because these are players that if you put the right systems in place, it should be a feeder program into the Simbas. I'd like to see some of them play later on, at least in the Elgon Cup, as they build towards other international fixtures for the senior side. But all said and done, we work with what you have. We've been in camp for this while. I know the players, at least they've had a feel of playing alongside each other. And we gel quickly generally. And I'm sure Coach Odera has put a simple game plan that can be understood by all of them. And he'll be looking at that first game as a gauge to see where the players lie in terms of fitness, in terms of understanding the game. And based on the results from that, he can able to chart his way forward.
Well, this is the last time Coach Paul Odera will be coaching the under-20s as he goes to coach on the senior 15 side. Do you think it's a good action that
it's a good follow through, because I think he's nurtured these kids up to where they are now, and of course they're going to be the feeder side into the national team. What I like about him is also a no-nonsense coach, so he doesn't take a lot of mucking about. So he's the kind of guy, and I hope he goes up with Ong as well. Ong is a super Kenya international as well, and he's not only a good coach but a good leader, and he knows how to take care of a team. So I hope they go up as a unit, because that will really strengthen this. And if we have that pair taking care of the 15s, I just hope there was space for Curtis to join at whatever point, because he brings in a very different approach as well. And I hope they can consider that, because at the national team level, especially in test match games, not 2-3 coaches is not enough. We probably need 5 coaches. So we hope that they can plug into what Curtis's experience is and his expertise, so that we can have a far stronger side, because we are capable of doing that.
I've actually been part of, I've been coached by Paul Odera. And one thing I like about him is he's very structured in his training. Before training, I think 2 days before you receive the program, what you're going to do, like 2 days later, 48 hours later. So once you come into training, you know this is the warm-up you're going to do, this is a game plan you're going to run, and this is what we'll do afterwards. So it's pretty structured. So it's short and sharp session, which is the joy for most players. You don't want a session that drags on. That's how you lose concentration, and that's how players end up doing their own things. So I think, just like Ben just said, moving forward, it's good that he's starting with the youth side. I'm sure he'll pick one of them, 1 or 2 of that he sees fit, and move with them to the national team. And when the time comes, I'm just hoping that he can be given the resources that he needs to transform Kenya Rugby on the 15th front.
All right, let's take a look at what Coach Paul Odera had to say.
We played Tunisia in 2016, and we almost got relegated. So they are a good team, and we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves by assuming that that is a match that we'll win easily. So we watched them when they played Senegal in the qualifier, and very physical from what we saw last year. Age grade rugby is very tricky, because you may watch a team and then half the team's lost because they're all overage and they've transitioned. Or you may watch them and a majority of them may be retained. But what we're interested in watching was not the players per se, but the style with which they play. But we are well set to see how we can enhance our strengths when we play Tunisia.
Well, the coach is talking about that they are well set and prepared for this tournament. But first, let's take a look at the squad that has been picked, that will be captained by Boniface Ochieng, who is a player of Kenya Harlequins. Coach, maybe you can...
Very proud of this boy. I think he's that sort of player who you know from the onset that he's going to be a very good player. He's calm, he's teachable, he works hard, and he's a brilliant front rower. So I think he's going to be a very good, and I'm pretty chuffed that he's the captain there.
Just like to highlight Samuel Asati, number 9. He's been very instrumental for KCB. He's one of the players he has an eye, he has a keen eye for the gaps, snipes around the base very well. And he's been able to marshal the big forwards, the likes of Andrew Amonde, Davis Chenge. And he's very small,
so, yeah.
but he's tiny with the heart of a lion. So I'm sure that he'll fit in that role perfectly. And if there's anyone who can lead this side in terms of the halfbacks, I think Samuel Asati has the brains of a 40-year-old. On the body of a 19-year-old. Exactly, yes. Yeah. So I'm excited to see him play. I'm just interested to see how he'll gel with his peers, so to speak.
I'm a little shocked whether the number 6 is actually meant to be there. James McGreevy He's our center at Harlequins. He climbed to the first team position just two games ago, and he's playing blindside flank. That's pretty exciting. He's a good tackler, yes, but he's naturally a center. And then there's Emmanuel Silungi from Homeboys, a tall boy, good ball carrier, with a good vision for the ball. He's a bit shy sometimes, but I think he's one of those players that we should look out for. One
notable inclusion is the number of foreign players in the squad also.
Okay, don't call them foreign because they're Kenyan boys.
They're Kenyan, but
yes.
Some of them play for teams in there.
This has been our undoing as a union for the longest time. The kids who play in the private international schools have never been included into this team, and that's the beauty of having both Paul and Ong as coaches, because these are kids they interact with at that level. So they have a chance. They're Kenyans, but have never been given a chance. Most of them just disappear in thin air. So it's good to see the Kenyan boys who play in affluent schools, so to speak, being given a chance to play for their country, because it's very encouraging. So I think for the longest time we've been sidelining them and discriminating against them, which hasn't been right. And this is the right thing to do. They've got a lot to give to their country, and anybody is happy donning a Kenyan shirt.
All right, now let's turn our attention to the Kenya Cup, and let's start with the second live game of the weekend, which was Impala Saracens versus Mean Machines, and Impala Saracens were able to walk past Mean Machines, winning 25-10 in that game. Lavin, let me start with you.
You know, when I watched this game, all I could think about is if Impala play like this against the Cabras, they will collect about 60 points. Because, I mean, fine, Impala, they had good phases here and there, even going over for the pushover try. But I feel those too many mistakes. For a side who prides itself in having a good youth system, a side who is under the coach, the tutelage of Oscar Osir and Ndong. I mean, they've made too many errors in terms of passes not going to hand. Just they had a bit of structure, yes, but I feel there's still more that they can do. I mean, on the day they got the win, yes, but you know, you're playing this game, yes, to get the win, which they did, but you should also have one eye on your very tough fixtures against the Cabras. So, I mean, good win for them on the day, but I think they still need to polish up a bit more. Mean Machine, quick off the blocks, they had that early penalty, which was converted from the touchline, which I thought was brilliant. But, I mean, just typical Machine play, it was not enough to get them the win on the day. But all in all, good win for Impala, but they still can do better. They need to sharpen up on a few things here and there if they're to give Cabras a run for their money.
Yeah, the Impala have got to be clinical. Now the fluidity at the position they lie, and with a tough game coming up in the weekend, they just got to be clinical. It's going to be a tough run for them. Lucky for them, there isn't the kingpins for Cabras Hamisi, Walkerach and Scubes. So I hope they're going to play a better game. Because if they don't, there is
going to be steamrolled on Saturday if they don't improve.
If they don't, it's going to be really, because Cabras have really nothing to prove. But as we know, they're playing with a lot of pride. They have a chairman who is obnoxious. Yeah, will call people names.
And they also want that home advantage by staying at the top.
Yes, yeah, also, and also just to keep the momentum going.
The momentum going, yes. Yeah. So Impala's job is cut out for them. They don't have the luxury of sitting on the laurels.
But it's going to be tough if they want to qualify for the playoffs.
It's going to be tough, and we said it before. And I think this format, for me, Love, is the kind of format that we should be playing. It creates a lot of competition.
It does.
Yes.
It forces you to play your best
every single day,
week out.
Yes.
Week in, week out. And I think on the day for Impala, they did what they needed to do to scrape a win against Mean Machine.
Just get the win ugly. Or
exactly, just get the win ugly. And you know, sometimes in rugby, that's all you need. And for Mean Machine, I mean, all credit to them as well. They they're at the bottom. The Wakuko Chini, they're also fighting for something.
Also fighting for something.
And you know, their fans, those university students, they took time off preps to come and support their team. So I mean, it was a good environment for them. But I think the quality and the experience of Impala.
And the
was enough.
Sportman is away as well.
Yeah, Shadon Munoko,
Shadon.
the inspirational captain,
Yeah,
who can run through a brick wall for his comrades.
I like
That
that
guy is quite
guy.
physical.
He's very physical.
And he was called to the national
He's a nice
team,
chap,
by
you
the
know.
way.
I
He's
interacted with him.
Cool, calm,
Yeah.
collected.
Yes.
But if you look at his
I
body,
never had a
the guy
chance
is
to
huge.
talk to him. But he's going to be something. He's
Yeah.
going to be
One
something.
for the future.
Definitely. Definitely.
All right, let's head on to the next game. It was the Menengai derby. Menengai Cream Homeboys were
Yes.
beaten,
Yes.
which was quite shocking by the newbies. Menengai.
No, it wasn't
Oilers.
shocking at all. We talked about it last week. The team is just getting the playing unit was unhappy like 3 weeks ago, and that created a lot of anarchy in the camp. And up until I think mid last week, the coach had said he doesn't want to be part of it anymore. So he's just gone back now. And you know, when you have those seesaws at if you have those seesaws during preparation, you really never get it right. So very unfortunate that they lost. This is, like we said before, it is one of those disappointing runs. We'd expected them to do a lot better this season. But again, it happened that it did. Now it is very inevitable that they lose a playoffs slot, and they need to start recovering for the next season.
One thing I noticed about Oilers is the lineout is, they don't look at it as a major attacking platform, because they're putting minimal numbers in the lineout, then taking their chances out wide. So they're a team that plays end to end, and they're very physical. They have a very physical front row, and they're not big names, so to speak, but they work really well as a unit.
Together, yes.
To the extent where they put Homeboys under massive pressure in the scrums. So it goes to show you the work that they've done to get the technique right. Because you see, in rugby, especially in the forwards, you can play it two ways. You can bash it up because you're bigger than your opposition, or you can play very technical because your opposition is more dominating than you. If you look at the likes of security, Steve Otieno for the Homeboys, they are bigger forwards. But on the day, the Oilers were able to contain them and even to push them and get penalties off the scrum.
I think the big men have really let them down.
Yes, they have.
They have not done as much as they ought to do. Steve, for me, has had the worst of seasons.
You know, which makes me
any ground
which makes me question. Did he really get over his injury? I mean, did he go through...
I think mentally he isn't prepared.
Exactly, because you see, there was a season, I think it was last season,
Yes.
that Steve was a player who personally I felt should have been starting for the Simbas at number 8.
Yes, yes.
But this season is a pale shadow of himself. He's a pale shadow of the Steve I saw last season. I mean, it could be about injury, because you see, there was early in the season he went through a period where he was recovering from the injury.
Yeah.
But like Benja said, their big ball carriers have really let them down.
Big
The
time.
Homeboys have been a team that plays individual. Even if you look at their tries they scored, an individual step by Leon Adongo, he sprints all the way to score.
Yeah.
Another strike by just one off. But if you find a team that's really shutting you out on the defense, it's easy to pick out
those ones. and then
those
just shut them
star
down.
players, shut them down, and they have nothing else to give, to offer. If you look at the Oilers have structure. They were reaching a certain point in the Homeboys 22, playing with the forwards, pick and drive with their
Slowing
tribe. The
it down.
interplay, slowing it down, speeding it up when they needed to. But for the Homeboys, it takes individual brilliance for them to get over the choke. And on the day, unfortunately, that was not enough. And throughout the season, and that's why they're out of the playoff contention.
Could it be the number of injuries they have gotten, or the number of players who play in the Shuja team?
Not necessarily. You see, all teams have got a thing or two. Okay, what did you say about Oilers, who don't have one single big name?
Because
and
for
they've been
Homeboys,
staying,
they
they've been
had
staying
5
very.
players who represent them in Shuja.
You can't say that, yes, but it's really not. You ought to have enough depth. A team like Homeboys, who have an odd 70 odd players, should not worry about that. The system is quite good. I think it's that mishap they had with the playing unit not being very happy about one or two things that didn't work. Personnel-wise, Homeboys are not lacking at all. Yeah, they need to sort it out. They need to sort out that changing room issue they had, which I think is getting done now. So, like I said, it ought not to be an excuse that your players are playing for the national team. There are teams that have had people playing for the national team. You have Mwamba, who send off their players. You have Harlequins 1 or 2 times. KCB send one of the Kingpin players. So that needs to be, for a club who are as good as Homeboys,
yes,
it ought not to disrupt the team majorly.
If you have players who are turning up for the national team, at least the system should remain. System is system. No matter who plays, the system should remain. And at the moment, I don't feel they have any system. Because if you take out 5 players and the system still remains, the rest who are there just play with the system.
Yes.
The system still remains.
All right, now let's focus on the other game. And this time, Benja, KCB got one over you again.
Yes,
Double
yes.
this season.
There's no problem. Like I keep saying, there's nobody who's proving anything. We're in the playoffs now. We start working on how we're going to beat the playoffs. For me, it's about developing a club beyond egos and who's tougher than the other. It's building that club that is consistent over the times. And as Loving says, systems in this 15th game is very important. For us, that's what we're working on. Last season, we finished, I think, 11th or so. And now we are consistent third. So that kind of improvement is what we're looking at. And for us, it's important that we made the playoffs. This was a game that, again, we played really, really well. I was quite happy with how the boys played. We had a few mishaps with our flyer tossing the ball really nearly when we needed to keep it. And I think the score would have been very different. In fact, the last 7 points they got on the buzzer. And kudos to the boys. They put their bodies on the line. And I think KCB on the day was crafted by the whisker. But again, it's a game of rugby. They played their hearts out. We don't do as much as we needed to win that game.
I saw a picture online. It was a series of pictures showing Patrice Agunda sprinting. Then there's 2 people. Then there's 4 people eventually tackling him. So in my mind, I was thinking of the Patrice I know, the Patrice that gives 100% every single time.
Yeah.
He always puts his body on the line. He's again a centre who's been transformed to a back row.
And he was a captain this week.
Yeah, and some say that he was actually the man of the match on the Queen's side. So yes. Patrice is definitely one of those old heads that you need in your squad. And like Benja said, you build the systems. They're in a good place. And now they build from there in terms of the playoff.
Okay. Then we go on to Stanbic Mwamba, 29-22 against Nondies.
Kulabu just want to finish Nondies. Kulabu, they've actually just drilled the nail. All that needs to go is another light hammer onto that nail, and Nondies don't make the playoffs.
It's a wrap, yes.
Yeah. Kulabu, and they've risen. In the second part of this season, Kulabu have grown day after day after day. And I think we cannot discount the leadership of Collins Injara in that team. He's one consistent senior player who's put his body on the line, and you can tell that the troops are rallying behind him. And that's the reason why this team has been able to rise every single time they played this half of this season. Unfortunately for Nondies, I say to tongue in cheek, the season started really well.
Yes. And
I think at some point it must have gone into their heads. And there are crucial games that they lost that they ought not to have for them to be in the position they had. Unfortunately, playing against Harlequins this weekend...
You guys just have to win that game.
You're saying it like we have an option.
It's a Gong derby.
You're saying it like we have an option. We really don't have an option. And unfortunately, it will be at their expense. Yeah, you get so... I'm not being overly confident, but I think we've got a good side to beat Nondies. And when you do it, it will be a pity for them to not make the playoffs after playing very well.
I watched the entire game. It was a game of 2 halves. In the first half, Sinei, the number 10 for Nondies, he put Mwamba under massive pressure. The back 3 for Mwamba couldn't catch anything. In fact, the only thing they could catch was catch feelings.
And colds and the dust.
Sinei had the whole day to panga the game. He could take out his phone and tweet and call home because Mwamba not putting him under pressure. And he punished Mwamba in the first half. After a tough talking Tito Duke at halftime, Tito, during the halftime talk, he did not talk anything about the game. he questioned individual characters, you as a person. What do you have to offer to this team? And I guess that talk got the boys up, because in the second half, it was a completely different game. Sine was put under massive pressure. In fact, he gave us 2 tries, because one was a charge down and one he couldn't deal with the high ball. So, I mean, good win for Mwamba, but I think we need to get quicker off the blocks, because it's not every day that you'll get the luxury of a comeback against such a strong side. And just like Benja said,
yes,
the leadership of Collins in general. One thing I like about Kolo is he realizes that rugby is not just in the national team. There's rugby also for your club.
Yes. And this is a grown man.
That's and this is a challenge to other players who are in the national team who are currently not in the
Please tell William Baka.
Please play for your clubs.
Yes.
Come for training.
Yes.
Turn up for your clubs every single weekend, because you know what? One thing is certain. You're getting older by the day. Trust me, I know.
Time is flying.
Time is flying, and it
creeps up on you.
It creeps up on you, and there'll be one time that you want to play, and you will not be able to play. So play for your clubs.
I remember there was a time you guys were emphasizing on the senior sevens players to go back to their clubs and start training.
So that is what has kept them. That's what has kept those that trained consistently. That's what has kept them alive. In fact, the reason why Sikuta, Amonde, Agero have quickly picked into the national team is because they've been playing consistently.
Yeah.
None of them have been missing matches. So it pays. It is that club that got you to the national team. Please give it some service.
Always give back.
Give that service, because you're also an example to the younger guys.
So there's people who come to training because they want to come and learn from you.
Yes,
so if you're not there, you're not really doing them justice.
Yes, and
that's my opinion.
I think the senior players who were involved in the sevens and have not been playing in the sevens and came back to the club have made a huge difference to the clubs. In our case, Eden Agero has made a massive difference, and him coming to the club got us wins that were going to be very difficult without him there. Amonde has helped KCB get to where they are.
Even Oscar Uma, when he eventually came back from Nakuru, you see what
and you see what Nakuru have been doing.
Yeah.
And Collins as well. So you can tell the impact of these very experienced players going into their clubs. So it's always been my policy that whenever you're playing for the national team, when you get back home, you only need a week tops to rest, and the coach gives the clubs advice on who needs to play when. And there's no time he's rested somebody for more than 7 days unless you're injured. So the guys who've not been giving service to the clubs are doing the clubs a disservice. And for a club like ours, we'll not be very happy and probably kick you out whilst you're at it.
Tough talk by Coach Ayimba there. Senior players, you've heard the coach talking, you've heard Lavin. Come on, get back to training. William Baka, right?
No, Willie came back and didn't play very well on the weekend.
All right.
I already gave him a tongue lashing, so he knows what to do.
You know what to do, William Baka. All right, let's take a look at the standings. And top of the standings is Cabra Sugar, followed by KCB, Harlequins. Those 3 teams have qualified for the playoffs. And now we have the 3 other positions where Impala, Stanbic, and Top Fry Nakuru lie. But Nondis can still creep into the top 6. Yeah.
It's very fluid that, like we've said, 45, 44, 42, and 42. Now, this is about...
42 is where we end, yes.
Yes, 42 is where we end with Nondis.
Oh, yeah, because Benengai have done... The Oilers have done...
The Oilers are out. Homeboys are out.
Yes.
Yeah, Oilers, it's good for them. They're not in the last 2, so that's good for them.
That's very good.
But now from Impala, it really comes down to the last game of the season. Impala play Cabras. Now the question is, which side will Cabras put out? Because for them, they're the top. I'm sure Impala will put out their strongest squad because it's still early days for them.
I tell you that pride that those Cabras guys have.
Yeah.
Especially with their fans. And I tell you, as their chairman already is an activist. Yeah. So there's no way they're going to lose that match.
So they have to win that match.
They'll put their best
squad.
So
Impala might miss out on the playoffs.
Actually, yes. You know, it's still quite fluid, actually. Right from Impala through to Nondescript, it's still very, very fluid. It's not so alarming, right?
Yes, because if Harlequins beat Nondis, they could be out. Cabras-
You're talking of if, but again,
Yes, yeah. I mean, yes. Okay.
let's assume it's a competition.
It's a competition.
Yes, let's assume it's a competition.
The shade, the amount of shade though. All right. So Harlequins play against Nondis this weekend.
Yeah.
And if Harlequins beat Nondis are definitely out.
Nondis are out,
Because
yes.
Impala, even if they lose, they'll have 45 points.
Yes.
And Nondis will have 42. But if Impala lose to Nondis, and
No, Impala-
if Nondis beat Harlequins,
Harlequins, yes.
then Impala will qualify even if they are beaten by Cabras.
Then Mwamba will be
Yes.
in an interesting position. Because Mwamba's last game, they play Oilers away. That's
Yes,
a very
yes.
tough
It's
fixture.
a very tough fixture. Who does Nakuru play?
Nakuru play Mean Machine. So for them, I think
Oh
it's...
man, because that's a 5-pointer.
Yes.
So that's 47. My
47,
goodness,
yes.
it's really tricky, isn't it?
So if,
Yeah, it's-
if Nondis beat Queens and Impala lose, Nondis go to the playoffs,
Well,
Yes.
yes.
right?
Yes. And then we leave Nakuru there,
Then we have
and Mwamba are in as
yes.
well.
It's a very...
Whoa.
It's quite
I didn't
tough.
realize how mathematical this was until now.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
take a look at the fixtures so that we can do our math properly and know which teams can qualify and which positions they will qualify.
In.
We have Impala versus Cabras.
I think Cabras will have this one.
Cabras, eh?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the thing that Impala need to do is at least get 2 bonus points. That's the losing bonus points, and for 4 tries and finishing within 7.
Yes.
It will do them good, because you
It'll
see
do
that
them good, yes.
what we're doing is a bit of mathematics. So those 2 points are very important, assuming they lose.
Assuming
They
okay?
lose,
yes.
Then we have Queens and nondescripts. Let's
I tip Harlequins for this one.
Yeah, I tip Queens, and same thing like Impala. I know Coach Foxy will be looking for those 2 losing
Two losing
bonus
bonuses.
points, because they are very crucial.
all right. KCB Homeboys versus KCB dead rubber there.
Homeboys are dead in the water. I
Yeah.
think KCB have
KCB
this one.
have this one.
Oilers Mwamba.
I pick Mwamba for this one.
But it will be very scrappy. It will be a
They'll have to take it by the scruffs. Yeah.
dogfight.
Because it's this is being played in Nakuru.
In Nakuru, yes.
It's gonna be
Goodness,
tough.
this is a tough match, isn't it?
It's very, very tough.
Because
Oilers have won 3 games back
three
to
ga-
back.
Yes.
It's about pride for them here.
Not only
Not
that,
only
they're actually a good side.
they're a good side.
They're a very good side. They've got the drive, and they're looking at Mwamba and saying, if we end the season by beating Mwamba, then we're at a good place.
And they're saying, if we beat Nondis and we beat Homeboys, who are
Who are
Mwamba?
Mwamba?
You see, that's what they're saying.
What is the Mwamba?
Yeah, exactly. And that's very dangerous. I think it's very dangerous to play the Oilers now.
They have a lot more to gain than lose.
Yes.
And in that, because they're not making the playoff spot, but this
It's
for
a
their
statement.
Yeah, it's a huge statement. My goodness, that's a very tough fixture.
Wow, Kulabo, I hope you guys have trained, man. I hope you guys have trained. You
It will be a
cannot
dogfight
miss out
in
on the
Nakuru.
playoffs. All right, then we have Strathmore versus Black Blood University derby there.
I'm calling Leos this one.
Leos?
Yes.
I'm calling blood on this one.
Blood
But
is
you
a
know,
really
Black
tough
Blood,
team.
you never know which blood will,
Which blood will
turn up.
will turn up.
Because they lost narrowly to Nakuru, and this is the same Black Blood that got walloped by Mean
Mean
Machine.
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 And the one that beat Harlequins.
Harlequin. So you never know which Black Blood will turn up, but I think on the day, last game of the season, Johnny wants to finish on a high. It's at home. I'm calling Strathmore.
I think blood will take this one.
Blood for you, okay.
Yeah.
Mean Machine versus Top Fry.
I'm
Wanyore.
I'm
They have
calling
to win
Wanyore.
this.
I'm calling Wanyore as
Wanyore?
well.
Wanyore have 1 foot in, and I think despite the trials from Mean Machine, despite the spirited fight they'll give,
Yeah.
I think Wanyore will win this one.
Will win
It
this
might
one.
it might not be easy, but I think they have what it takes to get over the line.
Because this is being played in Nairobi, is it?
Yes,
Yes.
at the workshop.
At the workshop. My goodness, the panel beating hasn't been good.
Yeah.
enough. I still need to see the chairman a little later
Yeah.
after the season is done.
All right.
But quite interesting times to be honest. Kenya Cup, for me, this season has been very, very competitive, and this kind of format ought to be kept because I think it brings out a lot of competition.
All right. Well, let's take a short break, and after the break, we'll be looking at the 7th teams, the Shujaa and the Lionesses. Right, welcome back to Try Time, and you are watching it with me, Elijah Oko, together with Lavina and Benjamin Ayimba. And now we want to focus on the Kenya Sevens. The Shujaa team and the Kenya Lionesses are taking part in the Hong Kong Sevens, which starts tomorrow for the ladies and on Friday for the gents. And the Kenya Sevens have gotten some reprieve now with the return of the senior players.
Definitely, it's a welcome move for the senior guys to say, right, we are raising our hands, let's sort this thing out, let's work on our problems after we get the job done. And for me, it might be a very tough pull in Hong Kong, but pulling through, if and when we pull through that pool, we are seeing good things. For me, the senior players represent a lot, both in supporting the younger guys who've been putting the bodies on the line and not being able to get the result, and just knowing when and how to win. So it's a very welcome gift for us as a rugby nation, and I think they'll definitely make that huge difference.
All right, just Lavin, just a minute. Let me, for those who don't know the Kenya senior players who have been called back, let me just give you some of the names. Andrew Amonde, Jeff Oluoch, Augustine Lugonzo, Nelson Oyo, Daniel Sikuta, Eden Aguero, and South Africa-based Oscar Dennis. Good lineup for you?
Very good lineup. These are seasoned players. I think apart from Oscar Dennis, the rest have represented the nation on the Seventh Circuit. So I think for the team, it's a good morale boost. These are players who bring in different aspects of their game to the team. Andrew Amonde is a very physical ball carrier. So in terms of ball carrying, you have him as an addition. For Eden, he reads the game very well. One player that I'm interested to see on the international scene is Oscar Dennis, because I've played alongside Oscar Dennis, I've played against him. He's a brilliant player who has a brilliant rugby mind. And reports from training show that he's actually one of the fittest players. So whatever he's doing in South Africa...
He's been in South Africa just working
is really working.
To get the call-up.
So in terms of fitness, he's up there with the best of them. Having said that, however, we are in a very tough pool. And my target for the team, even before the senior players were included, was to challenge, to go for the Challenge Trophy.
Yes.
With the addition of the senior players, my goal for the team still remains the same.
Yes.
Because you've come from a 15th setup, you're coming to play against New Zealand, Fiji, and Australia, who've already played, I think, 6 tournaments on the 7th circuit. So for you on day one, what I require from you is get a feel of the sevens, play against, and these are the best of the best. Get a feel of the sevens, bust your lungs, open yourself up for day two. Now for day two, you really have to win each and every single game you play. Because remember, the stake of the nation, our survival in the World Seven Series is at stake.
Yes.
And every single contribution that you will have on day two is geared towards collecting maximum points in the Challenge Trophy, which will put us in a good position. Now, Japan, this is Asia. This is their sort of quote-unquote home tournament. So they're also looking at it as one of the tournaments to really collect points. And there's Wales as well, who we are in a battle with. So for me, I think Kenya versus Fiji. Fiji are currently at the top of their game. You play that game, you gain everything that you can, work on your defenses, work on your defensive alignment, work on your moves in terms of attack. Same as Australia. Australia have also struggled a bit.
Yes.
But Australia is Australia. They're a good sevens playing nation.
They have a system going.
Yeah, so if there's one team that you want to get a scalp on day one, I think it's Australia. Go for that Australia game. Build on the Fiji game, take Australia down, and finish off with New Zealand. That should give you enough momentum to go into day two and to go for the Challenge Trophy.
Yes.
We have 18 points. How many points do we need from each leg, the 4 remaining legs, to qualify?
For now, we've got to go step by step because you've got to also look at what Japan and Wales are doing.
Yes.
So for us, what is in our hands now and is there to take is that Challenge Trophy. When we do, it's 8 points. So that's going to be, is it eight points?
Yeah,
Right?
it's 8 points.
So 8 points. When we get these 8 points in Hong Kong, we'll get a better pulling in Singapore. And
Yeah.
once that happens, we sneak into that quarterfinals, and we're talking about safety now.
Yes.
Hoping that Wales and Japan don't do as well. And then going to Europe, fired with the whole squad, having worked for at least 7 weeks together, and that should be able to do it for us.
Will the senior players have much impact considering they didn't train in the preseason and they were playing in the 15s and 7s, a different ball game?
Impact, I think, in terms of experience, because sometimes in the game of sevens, you don't really need to work hard, you need to work smart. So what you might lack in terms of fitness, you can gain in terms of reading the play. Instead of making 1,000 passes to score the try, make 3 passes. Instead of losing the ball easily and forcing you to defend, which takes a lot of energy, you work on retrieving that kickoff and maintain possession. Because when you have the ball, you tire less. So yes, they might not be fit in terms of where the rest of the other teams are in terms of fitness, but what they bring in terms of their experience, they played against these players, they know their plays, they know the moves. They are no stranger to the occasion. They can use that as fuel to sort of overshadow the lack of fitness that they may carry into this particular tournament. So in terms of impact, I think they still do have a lot to offer for the team. And obviously having the younger guys who are much fitter, you do your business, set Tabu up to sprint and finish. I don't expect Amonde to sprint from one end to the other.
Coast to coast, no.
Coast to coast. That's why you have nippy players to finish off.
And also psychologically, for the other teams, when they look at Kenya and look up and see six guys that they know from before, they'll be like, oh, now we can't do exactly what we wanted to do. Yeah. Because I think up to last week, they probably didn't know who was in the squad, or they just thought, anyway, it's those young guys that are coming on board. So for us, it's also good that when somebody looks up and thinks, oh, I can't just do this, I can't do the other. In that point of confusion, they might snap up a win or two.
Captaincy has been given to Jeff Oluoch. I'm interested to see how he will handle the captaincy bit.
Yes.
Because, not every great player is a great leader.
Yes.
So because a captain, there's other aspects that is expected of you in terms of media obligations. You go for the team photo, you attend press briefings and things like that.
So doing extra. Beyond your
yeah,
game.
exactly. So if you should be able to concentrate still on your game and also participate in all these other activities that are required of the captain. But I think congratulations to him. It's a huge honor to wear the armband for your nation.
All right, now let's focus on the Kenya Lionesses. They're going there for the second time. Last year, they lost in the semi-finals in the sudden death against South Africa. And now they're going to play against Uganda, Papua New Guinea, and Hong Kong. Can the team qualify? Bling is quite confident.
They can qualify for the quarterfinals. I think that's day one. So they can qualify for the quarterfinals. However, getting to win that tournament is quite tough because our girls haven't played in any tournament in the last so many months. And these are the teams have been playing in local tournaments all over the place. So.
And this is the reason, exactly what Ben just said, this is the reason why if I had a hat in studio, I'd tip it off to the ladies. Because they work with scraps. Do you even know when the ladies train? Do you know where they train?
Yeah.
We don't know where they train. You don't know what time they train. We don't know the equipment they have. But somehow they still go ahead and compete with some of these other teams. You've rightfully said that they lost to South Africa. And I think last year we beat them twice.
We beat them, yes. We beat them, but lost in the semi-finals.
Yeah, so you see, the more we get the scalp of quote-unquote the big teams, the better it is for us. Because I think at the moment, the ladies still depend on invitations here and there.
Yes.
They are not a core team, so they don't play all the tournaments. So for every single tournament they get, I think for them, the aim is just to showcase your talent. You collect as much experience as you can. And hopefully, things will get better as the new board has come in. They have promises, so we are hoping that they'll shine a light on the ladies team, because they are the team that has seen no shine whatsoever.
Our ladies team is just a tipping point.
Yeah.
You know, if these girls went for another 2-3 tournaments in the year before the qualifiers, they'll definitely qualify for the series.
Yes.
And once they get into the series, you know how it goes. We should be able to do that comfortably. So, having a word with the chairman, Gangla, he's quite confident, and of course, all of us at the clubs must help in growing the game. Not just at our clubs, but these girls come from different clubs, and it might not help to just say, I'll sort out my club and that's it.
Yes.
It is also our duty to try and find those tournaments as these girls can go to, just as we've done, men. And in our small ways, try and improve that girls' team, because once they get into the circuit, they'll make us proud, just like the boys have done in the past.
And I think it can start with there's the KRU National League that that just ended last weekend.
Yes.
Once the league starts again, just come out. I know the games are being played on Sunday, so that's a good family day out. Just come and support the ladies, because you see, once we get the crowds in, we generate the buzz around the women's game, and that translates into the national team and forces people to actually talk and have a candid conversation about the women's team.
And it's a suggestion I'd wanted to put across to the rugby union as well. When we're playing the national circuit, the men's national circuit, as opposed to doing nationwide on the same fields, why don't you have the ladies one and then have a second tier one for the national for the national teams? Because then they play at the top level, where the fans are in there. Just like we do with the World Series.
Exactly.
And they also feel appreciated.
Yeah.
And once you can get that done, and we're trying that in Kisi during Easter, where you have 12 men's sides and 4 women's sides playing interchangeably. So that kind of thing, I think, can give them the impetus also to try and work hard, because once you have the fans there, it looks like everybody is focused to what you're doing. Then also the sponsors will want to come in and get involved.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen, we have come to the conclusion of the show. Thank you very much for coming and sharing your opinions on the beautiful game. Well, for you, the viewer, thank you very much for keeping us company. Until next time, bye-bye for now.